And you can go ahead.
Thank you. And board members, I will have us all identify ourselves as soon as we call the meeting to order, just so that all of our participants, since we can't see one another, everyone can have verified that we are all here. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 17th special board meeting of the Ames Community School District Board of Directors. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order and entertain a motion on the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gina. You were talking first.
Oh, okay. I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Perez, seconded by Lankaitis. Board members, if you will go ahead and please identify yourselves. This is Elisa Franzen, board president.
Jamet Colton, board member.
Gina Perez, board member.
Michelle Lankaitis, board member.
Monique Binkin, board member.
Sabrina Shields Cook, board member.
Alan Beerbaum, board member.
Thank you very much. Director Benkin, will you please read the purpose statement?
The Ames Community School District commits to equity and access that empowers every individual to reach their full personal and educational potential.
Thank you very much. Eric, if you'll go ahead and move to public forum so I can see our statement. And it's not there. Are you able to get it?
I'll have to find it from another board meeting, but
I'm sorry. Thank you, members of the public, for being patient with us this evening as we work through our technical difficulties. While we're waiting for that, it was called I did not have us vote on the agenda. Perez moved for approval, Lankaitis seconded. All those in favor of approving the agenda indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 7-0.
Now I'm all freaked out about my shoulders.
I have the text. Can I read the public forum thing?
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Residents of the district, students attending the district, parents or guardians of students attending the district, and district staff members may address the board about any topic relevant to the district, whether on the current agenda or not. Those who wish to speak must sign up at the beginning of the meeting. Speaker participation is limited to 3 minutes once per item. The views and opinions of citizens addressing the board do not necessarily reflect those of the board, district administration, or staff. Speakers are to remember that Iowa law prohibits the board from discussing specific employees, students, or their performance. Student speakers will state their name and school. Others will state their name and address.
Thank you very much, Director Beerbaum. We will go ahead and open the public forum. Just as a reminder, we ask that you do keep your comments to 3 minutes. Please give your name and address at the beginning. You can go ahead and raise your hand. I do see that screen and I will call on you to speak, and Eric will give you speaking permission. So Erica Peterson.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak here tonight. Erica Peterson, 210 South 5th Street, Ames. And I just wanted to let the board know and the district know that the Boys and Girls Clubs of Story County will continue to stand at the ready to support the children and families of our community while Ames Community School District remains in a hybrid or a virtual model. So we have been offering an all-day club experience to allow access for youth to be able to do their online learning in a safe, positive environment under the guidance of trained adult staff. And so we want to continue to offer that. during this time period as the school moves forward with these very challenging times. And I just wanted to also let people know that we have some significant health strategies in place to ensure the safety of both members and our staff as we continue to provide this service. And one other great shout out that I do just want to share is that we have received significant community support for scholarships to be able to offer this opportunity at a discounted rate to people who choose to enroll at this time. So if folks have more information or would like more information or would like to register, we would invite them to visit our website at bgcstorycounty.org as we want to continue to support their online learning so that all children in our district can be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica, and thank you for the service you're providing. And would anyone else from the public like to speak? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and move on to the action items and entertain a motion for the recommendation to administer education services in the 50% face-to-face hybrid instructional delivery model.
I move
I move that the board approve a transition to the 50% face-to-face hybrid instructional delivery model beginning on September 21st.
second.
Moved by Beerbaum, seconded by Perez. Discussion. Superintendent Reisner, I believe you and Dr. Arnold have some information for the board.
Yes, I appreciate that. So thank you. And because I know that the public can't see who's speaking, this is Superintendent Reisner and Dr. Arnold. I was wondering if you might be able to update the board on where we are at with our metrics today and have that be in relation to our decision-making matrix.
Yes, I'm happy to. And this is Dr. Arnold. As far as our current data, our 14-day positivity is at 9.9%. Our 7-day positivity is at 7.3%. Our case count is at 27, and our absence rate for both students and staff is less than 5%.
Okay.
So based on that in relation to our decision-making matrix, I would be recommending that move to the 50% face-to-face hybrid model. And so that is what the recommendation on the agenda is for.
Any questions or discussion from the board members?
I'd like to ask Superintendent Reisner if she could describe what the 50% hybrid looks like.
Am I unmuted? I am, yes. Again, this is Superintendent Reisner. So the 50% face-to-face instructional delivery model has our students coming. So the students that in our original model were our 1 and 2, were 1 and 2. If their numbers were 1 and 2, they now become one cohort. And then our 3 and 4 become one cohort. And students then come every other day with, oh gosh, I don't have that pulled up. So I could be saying that wrong. Can we pull that calendar? I don't want to say the days of the week wrong. Anyway,
Calendar that I did.
Yeah,
What
it's
was that?
attached on that item.
Oh, great. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so while that's being pulled up, I can explain. And so students would be coming every other Wednesday, and so twice a week, and then every other Wednesday. So ultimately it's a 2-week, it's a 2-day and then a 3-day. Director Binkin, my plan would be, as we've said before, to then review that. We will be looking at the data daily and then review every 2 weeks. So at the end of, the Wednesday before, we would review the data, and if we were already in hybrid model and that was where we fell on the decision-making matrix, we would continue in that model. If we needed to move to a different model, we would be doing that and watching that data daily. So there you can see, I'm not sure if the public's able to see that or not. I'm going to assume they can.
They are.
Okay,
They are.
great. So there's where our 1 and 2s become a group. They come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then our 3 and 4s come Thursday, Friday. And then the following week, our 1s and 2s go 2 days, and then our 3s and 4s go 3 days.
And does this hybrid model that you have on the screen follow the same bell schedule that we've been using in the virtual campus?
Christy Mixdorf, do you have the bell schedules, and would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so it will follow the same schedule. So especially if you're in the middle school and high school, students are already working through their the same schedule that they will be doing if they're coming back to campus. So period 1 in what they've started the school year in will be their period 1 when they're on campus as well, and the times will follow suit. We have some opportunities for students to learn asynchronously or not within a time frame, and so there's more flexible in the virtual schedule, if that makes sense.
And just because the students who had signed up to be virtual, 100% virtual, and will remain 100% virtual, their experience will change as well, because what we have been doing these past 2 weeks was we were doing it this way because the whole district was virtual. Could you speak to the changes that the virtual families will experience starting?
Yes. So there really won't be much disruption to what we've currently done with our virtual campus, or our remote campus. So students that are assigned to the remote campus at the elementary have a rostered teacher. Their schedules will stay exactly the same. And students at the middle school, they will still have that same schedule. They will be scheduled into groups, so coming in synchronously, and they'll still have opportunities to have the asynchronous learning that they've been experiencing already. And the high school will fold in the same way. So on the days, if you're coming into the hybrid model, your days that you're not physically on campus will be more asynchronous than what they have been at this point. But if you're experiencing the remote campus, your schedule and your interactions will stay primarily the same.
And I just have one last question. I'm curious, for Superintendent Reisner, could you speak to how we will transition through the modes? Because I guess I want to be clear about a couple of concerns that I have. One is that, I think we've received a lot of emails, and what I worry people still aren't clear on is that this decision is about how we will start school, right? And so starting, even if the vote is positive and we vote for the 50% hybrid, that's not an assurance that will stay 50% hybrid. And so I'm wondering, the decisions that will come next, those are really going to be at the student, at the classroom level, at the building level, and then maybe last choice will be district level changes. Can you speak to how you expect us to be moving through the modes, for as long as we're within our metrics to be hybrid?
I think that's a great question. And if this doesn't address the question, please let me know. I did want to make one correction to something that you said, and you said this is how we're going to start school. I want to make sure it's clear in the public, school has already started, and all the days have counted.
You're
So
right, my bad, I'm
nope,
sorry.
that's okay. I just want to make sure, you know, if the newspaper's listening, I want to make sure they know. I would really love to, and I was kind of hoping this might come up. I am extremely proud of the district in terms of the mitigation efforts that are in place and the plans that we have for very, very clearly being able to communicate with parents on what happens if there is a need to have students stay home in a classroom because of exposure. And so I know, Dr. Arnold, we just actually have finished meetings up today, solidifying those, and our Story County Public Health has been fantastic in working with us to make sure that our plan is really ready to go and there's depth to it. So Dr. Arnold, would you be able to speak on what we talked about today in terms of if a student or a classroom has to go into quarantine, or go into a remote learning mode, what that looks like and how those decisions are made? Yeah, I believe that's what you're asking, Director Bankin. Is that true?
Yes, yes and no. I
That's
mean, I
the
guess what
classroom
I want families to understand that, you know, the vote to go back to school in person, 50% hybrid, does not mean that's how we will be able to sustain the learning experience. And
Yes.
so as what I'm hoping the district can explain is kind of all the numbers that you're keeping an eye on, in the sense that as long as we stay under 10%, the disruptions are likely to be at the classroom and maybe building level. But if we get over 10%, then they'll be at the district level. That's just the clarity that I'm hoping we can all get here.
You bet. I think and I think this is a great opportunity to continue to educate the public on what that will look like when their students are back in school, so they're very clear on how they'll be notified. So Dr. Arnold, you could go ahead and share that.
Sure. So if we do, you know, when you're speaking of building level and classroom level, if we do have a positive in a classroom, we may remove that classroom from being in the building. That class would go into a remote status, and they would be completing their schoolwork at home. They will stay with the same teacher. But if we do have a positive in a class, and those close contacts of the positive of the class will move into an at-home education model for a period of 14 days. If we do see that we have multiple classrooms, or our absence rate for a particular building goes above 5%, that may trigger us to make decisions at the building level. And then if it goes any higher than that, obviously, you know, that would continue to go. And so if then that goes up to a district level, as far as we're seeing wide outbreak across the district, where we have multiple buildings with very large absences, that could also trigger us as a district to return back to virtual learning based upon an outbreak across the district, even if our positivity numbers were less than 10%.
So if we when we start back on the 21st, if you find out, you know, and you were there 50% in person, and you find out that there is a child in the building who is positive on the 21st, then that classroom would be on remote education for 2 weeks. Is that right? Is that what you're saying?
The close contacts of that particular student, because that's going to vary depending on the level and type of student and their interactions with their classmates. So those who are determined as a close contact, so within 6 feet for a period of longer than 15 consecutive minutes, those students would be put into return back to a virtual learning model. If it is, it may be a whole class, it may not, it really depends upon the setting.
And that's determined through contact tracing. We have seating charts and we have our mitigation plans in place. We give that information to public health. And so that is how that is determined.
And that's a very good point, Jenny. All of these decisions are not us independently making this decision. When we do have a positive case, that prompts us to immediately start contact with the public health department, and they will be advising us on those types of decisions. So this isn't something that we're doing independently. That is something that we are doing fully in collaboration with them.
And because of the load right now on public health and the turnaround time that it could take, we are as a district taking on that notification piece. So once we collaborate with public health and give them the information, we will be making phone calls and sending emails to families.
How does it apply for teachers? Let's say the high school, and there's one student that is positive, and this student went to 3 different classrooms. How does that apply for the teachers in those classrooms? Do they all get quarantine? Could we expand on? I'm interested to hear about secondary, middle school, and high school.
So in that situation, again, contact tracing is done. So the determination of if they were a close contact, being within 6 feet for a time period of greater than 15 consecutive minutes factors into that decision. So unfortunately, it's not a universal answer, but that is that's the process.
Okay, thank you.
Do you feel that the teachers should be pretty prepared for this on Monday? Should this pass? I know we've done so many adjustments to things. I just want to make sure that they'll be ready to.
That's a very tricky question because yes, I believe, we have phenomenal educators.
Oh, we do.
We have communicated with our building principals at the beginning of the week, letting them know that this would be my recommendation. Our teachers, the unfortunate part is our teachers were asked to prepare for 3 different models, fully on, well, 4 really, fully online, 50% hybrid, fully in person, and then phased in. So I guess I would say that yes, this is a difficult time for educators, and I feel like we have some of the best around, and they will rise to whatever challenge they are there that's put in front of them. I know that. I guess my question back would be, what would be the alternative?
Right. It was really just to make sure everybody knows that our teachers are ready, because I think we do have phenomenal teachers, and we did give them 4 different models to prepare for, and they've met every challenge we've given them. So I'm really, really thankful for all of our staff.
Are there any other questions or discussion items?
I do have one question as well. I know a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure how many meetings ago, it was mentioned that hand sanitizer stations had not come in yet, that they were back ordered. And so they were just like hand pumps. I was wondering, have all the supplies that we were anticipating come in? Are we still waiting on things? What do supplies look like?
Great question. Go ahead, Jerry, you can go ahead and speak to that.
Yes, the hand sanitizers, the touchless hand sanitizers have been back ordered. And I just got word, I think yesterday, that they're going to start coming in here. But we do have an interim plan, and that was to put the bottle dispensers in each classroom. So we do have that supply of the bottle dispensers, the hand sanitizers that are going to be in each classroom. So even in some of the things that were back ordered, we then implemented an interim plan or a gap plan. So at this point in time, we have a fair stockpile of PPE. We do have the hand sanitizers, like I said, in the classrooms. We do have disinfectant supplies that in stock, and we have some inventory built up. The one thing that we are struggling with is there's a worldwide shortage on gloves. So we're figuring out a way to be able to ration those out, but be able to provide them in a mindful way to the staff that need them.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I would like to just one other quick clarification point. We've received numerous emails, and I think there's still a little bit of misconception out there. The Ames Community School District has all of their days have counted. We have not defied any orders from the governor. We have been in compliance since the beginning of school. So all of our remote learning was approved because of community spread. Those days did count. And there has never been a time when our days haven't counted or that we have been out of compliance with the Department of Education or the governor. I just think that's really important to understand. And then just to reiterate, as our communities around us are experiencing now that they are back in school as well, I want to make sure that you as a board are also prepared. We meet weekly, superintendents, and meet regularly with our Story County superintendents, and so they do have portions of their buildings that are students that are in quarantine and staff in quarantine. So, once we get up and going, I think it's really important that you as a board understand we will have classrooms, we will have students, we will have staff that are in quarantine. I continue to be very, very concerned about having enough teachers to staff a building. So, as we move through this, that's why we really look closely at our staff absentee rate, because we have to have staff to be able to supervise students. And so we're going to watch that, do everything we can to take those mitigation steps to keep our staff safe and healthy, and be able to keep classrooms open and schools open, but know that there will be times when we will have to move students to remote learning or classes to remote learning and potentially buildings.
Thank you, Superintendent Reisner. We appreciate that because it is a continual effort. Like you said, Dr. Arnold, you're going to continue to watch the data for us, and we appreciate that because we know that will be a daily effort, and we know that Superintendent Reisner, you and your staff will continue to pay very close attention to this and help us to navigate through this. Any other questions or comments?
I just had one comment to kind of reiterate. I just wanted to thank you in advance to the staff. I mean, I'm optimistic this vote will put us in 50% hybrid, and thank you to the staff for all the work they've done thus far, for all the great work these last 2 weeks here, and the work that they're going to be doing here over the next few days to get ready for students to be in the class. I know my youngest son keeps asking me every day, when can we get back? When can we get back? He just wants to go meet his teacher. He's been having a great time over the virtual learning, but he wants to have some face-to-face time too. So thank you for the staff for all you've done and all you're going to be doing.
I also want to thank our administrators for coming up with all of the measures that we're going to take to keep everybody safe. From what I've seen, we're going above and beyond for the protection of everyone, and I just really, really appreciate it.
All right, it has been moved by Beerbaum, seconded by Perez to administer education services in the 50% face-to-face hybrid instruction delivery model beginning September 21st. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Reluctantly, aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, I'm just going to, for clarity, because I cannot see you. I think there were 7 ayes, and I heard no one say nay, so I'm going to say that it is a 7. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but a 7-0 vote passes. All right, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
Moved by Shields Cook, seconded by Benkin. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes 7-0. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for your patience, members of the public, as we work through our technology issues. Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Night.